Hello, welcome to part 5 of Adobe Photoshop Elements tutorial. Um, Today we're going to be talking about layer styles and how you can use them in order to give your type and other objects a little more punch. Um, what we did the other day, first off, is a little bit of review. We talked about how using the warp tool can add a little bit of life to your type. Another way of doing that is to use the layer styles. Now, layer styles can be found up in here in your palette area up here. This is kind of like a dock area up here. Now, one of these would be a layer styles. If your monitor is bigger than this 800 by 600 screen, then you would be able to see these a lot clearer than this. Sorry, I do this just for the sake of trying to make things small as possible for on YouTube. If we click on layer styles, and we're just going to bring this down into the main area, I'm going to shove the layers out of the way for now. We've got a whole host of options of different effects we can apply to our type. I'm going to go to the first one I'm going to choose right now is drop shadow. Now, if you've ever seen, if you go through a magazine, you're bound to see somebody using a drop shadow in some case. What that is essentially applying a dark shadow in behind the type. What this does is it adds a certain amount of contrast in behind the background and in the foreground, and helps to lift off the type off the background. This gives it a little more pop, and so in some cases easier to read. Like especially, and I'm going to use, we're going to get rid of our drop shadow. I'm going to say none. And especially, and I'm going to exaggerate here, say I'm going to take a sample of this color, and we're going to fill this type with that color. And so really, there's really not a whole lot of contrast at all between this type and the background color. Well, what if you were to add a drop shadow behind, that would help lift this off the background in order for you to see it a little bit better. There's also other things that you can do besides a drop shadow. You can do a outer glow, which if you were to, it adds a outer glow to the type. You can have different degrees of it. That really makes it pop. And you can see how we've actually got two effects going on at once. You've got the drop shadow and you've got the glow. Chances are it doesn't really. Some layer styles go together. These ones don't necessarily. I'm going to get rid of the drop shadow for now. All right, and let's go back to outer glows, and there's just our glow. So you can see how that really makes it pop out. There's other effects here too, like this fire one. People always like the fire one. Or we can always go back to, let's see, inner shadow. You can do the same thing. You can make it look like it's actually cut out of your background. Here's like a heavier one, or a reverse. Also, let's take a look at bevels here. Let's click off. And what a bevel does is actually makes the type look 3D. You can see how it's got a highlight in the top edge and a shadow in the bottom edge. What we can do here is you can also combine that with the drop shadow, and it really makes it pop out. Okay. Now the nice thing about the layer styles is that if you take a look at your layer palette, you see it's got this little symbol right here. This means that you've distorted your layer somehow. Okay, it's got this little F beside it. It looks like it says indicates layer styles. If we wanted to, I could double click on this, and you get a little dialog box here. It says that you can make adjustments to your shadows or your bevels. If you wanted to, you could make your shadow further away, like so, or closer. Generally, I like them close. Or you can increase your bevel size. And this will be good for you because you'll be able to see it a little more clear. That's exaggerating it. You can really see the bevel, the highlight here and the shadow there, and we can adjust the angle that it all occurs at, or we can find a nice happy medium. Maybe something like that would work. Okay, and again, this is still all editable type. You can take that, we could change that, we can change our type back to, there we go. You can always just change our type color as well. So that's the Layer Styles tool palette. There's a whole lot of other options you can create, but these are the basics that you might want to incorporate into your designs. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next tutorial.